First is take advantage of what resources are available to you as best you can. Here at school, I have a therapy group and then an individual therapist, and those have been so helpful. And those are just a resource that's available to me free through the school. And there's other resources through other schools and communities, church, through your family. So try and find what your options are before you give up on stuff. You can see that there's a lot more available when you start looking, and take advantage of those. People with depression, we get tired of hearing people say all the same stuff, but the thing is it actually does help. It does help to exercise, have a routine. Those things are true, and it makes me a little mad because it's like, no, we want something better, but it really does help to go through those processes where you try and make sure that you sleep 7 or 8 hours a night, you eat. And so probably listen to the old advice that people give you that you don't want to hear. And then, speaking of old advice that you don't want to hear, things really can, and they do get better. You're not destined to terrible forever. You'll have ups and downs. But it doesn't mean that things are always going to be bad. Things aren't always going to be good either, but it's not helpful to see your current state as your permanent state, because it's not. People change and the situation changes, and you have no way of knowing how you're going to be in 6 months. Could be better, could be worse, but it's going to be different. So accept that it's going to be dynamic. It's not just flat for the rest of your life. Something that helped me I guess I just had a hard time coming to terms with the fact that this was a part of my existence. I just kind of wanted to push back on it. And coming to terms with that's helped a lot in saying this is part of my experience. Something I was thinking about is people aren't a result. We don't just come crawling out of bad experiences shaped by them and say, okay, this is who I am despite the depression or the anxiety or the traumatic event. We're more of a combination of the bad things and the good things that have happened to us at once. We don't exist despite them, we exist with them, if that makes sense. And so understanding that my experiences with being depressed or anxious or having any trouble with PTSD, it's not something that I just overcome, but it's a part of me. And seeing that there's things that I can get from it. I can be more compassionate, I can be more empathetic. There's more things I understand. And seeing it like that as something that can help me instead of just my number one enemy has helped me a lot. And so to change your view from this is something that completely I need to oppose it, it needs to be overcome, kind of seeing what you can learn from it and understanding that it's a part of you as much as anything else is. I know a lot of people who are depressed or have PTSD or anxiety. The biggest thing I found, you need to take an active, if you think I don't want to live like this anymore, you need to take an active role in it. I've seen so many people who sit and they think, I need someone to help me, I can't do this, but I'm just completely powerless. But it's when you decide that there's something that has to change in you, and it's not something that depression can take away, because it can take a lot away, but it can't take away your desire to say, this is not how I want to be anymore. And that's really the change that I think people need to have happen. I realized that I deserve to have a better life than not feeling any sort of emotion or connection or anything, or just being anxious all the time. And that's when I went out and sought help. It didn't really come to me. I thought I had to talk to my family and say, okay, this isn't going to work. I had to go to a bunch of doctors and try a bunch of different medications as they didn't work. And so I had to be relentless in trying to get better. But that was the biggest thing that helped, I think, is that I was willing to say, okay, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get myself to the best place possible instead of waiting for something to change, because sometimes it won't on its own. And so other people who are struggling, I would encourage to just admit that you deserve better than to live in a way that you're not happy, and to just try and take even if it's just a tiny first step, but it's up to you. Like, recovery can be a choice more than it's just a thing that happens. And so to just start making tiny choices that lead to choosing to get better.